Mr. Graham, homework help. Let's have homework help. Blah, blah. Hey guys, how are you? It's time for some homework help. We're skipping ahead a little bit in the book, so don't freak out when you hear this. We should be on page 310 and 311. So open up your pages of your math workbook, and let's get started. Here we go. Now you will explore naming triangles further. So we have to name triangles. Triangles can have a bunch of different names. You always want to look at either the sides or the angles. Sides or angles. Sides, sides or angles. Sides or angles. Sides, sides or angles. Okay, enough of that. Let's move on. Number 13, look at triangle A. How many sides are equal? Well, you see an 8, an 8, and an 8. So all three of those are equal. How many sides are equal? All three are equal, Mr. Graham. What kind of angles does it have? Well, let's take a look. That's not quite a right angle, is it? No, that's a little acute angle. In fact, all three of them are little acute angles. What kinds of angles does it have? Acute. I should just type it. Whenever I try to write with my mouse on my computer, it just ends up like hurting my fingers because I can't be neat enough. I don't know. So acute. There we go. What are two names for this triangle? It can't have two names. Remember how I told you it could either be because of the sides or angles? Well, it has one name for the sides. All the sides are equal. There's an 8, an 8, and an 8. When that happens, you have an equilateral triangle, spelled like this. Equilateral triangle. But there's another name you could give this triangle because besides the equal sides, it also has three acute angles. So it's not just an equilateral triangle, it could also be an acute triangle. So equilateral triangle or acute triangle, both of those names work out just fine. What are two names for triangle B? Okay, let's look at triangle B. Nothing's the same. Look, a 9 is not the same as a 7, and that's not the same as a 14. So it's all different, and it has one big fat obtuse angle right there on the top. So think about this, my friends. If you have nothing the same on the sides, that's one name. When nothing is the same, you call that a scalene triangle. All right? So that's the name it has for its sides. What about the name that it gets for its angle? It has one big fat obtuse angle. Well, if it has an obtuse angle, you call it an obtuse triangle. I'm not that worried about you guys being good at this once you remember what it means. If it has equal sides, it's an equilateral triangle. If it has acute angles, it's an acute triangle. If it has none of the sides the same, it's a scalene triangle. And if it has even one obtuse angle ruins the whole darn thing. If it has one obtuse angle, it is an obtuse triangle. Let's take a look at right here. Can this triangle also be called an acute triangle? Why or why not? Well, it has acute angles, but the answer is no. Because in order for it to be an acute triangle, it has to have all acute angles. What are two names for triangle C? All right. Well, if you look up on top, we can find a right angle. It's kind of hard to see when it's on top like that, but that's that perfect right angle. And it looks like we have, let's see here, two equal sides. This is equal, and this is equal. I don't know about the bottom. The bottom might not be so equal. I'm not so sure it is. So If it has a right angle, like it does on top right there, you can call it a right triangle because of the right angle, period. So that's one thing we can call it. But you can also call it something called an isosceles triangle. Why? Because it has two equal sides. Now, an isosceles triangle is kind of like the second place of triangles, because an equilateral triangle has all three sides the same, and an isosceles triangle only has two the same. So there you go. Explain how to give a complete description of a triangle. I'm going to extend the page. What do they mean by complete? Well, it's really quite simple. You have to make sure that that you talk about the sides and the angles of a triangle. If you forget one, then the answer is not complete. Almost done. If you need some time seeing that answer that I just typed, feel free to pause the video. 17 and 18. Use what you just learned to solve these problems. Give a complete description of this triangle. Okay, no problem. A complete description. We're going to talk about the sides. We're going to talk about the... Excuse me, I burped. We're going to talk about the sides. We're going to talk about the angles. Here we go. So, a complete description. Okay, so look at the sides. None of them are the same. It's just a wacky, crazy old triangle. So if none of them are the same, that's scalene. It is a scalene triangle. What about the angles? Remember, if it even has one obtuse angle, it's an obtuse triangle. And I do see an obtuse angle up top on the top of the triangle. It is a scalene triangle. It is also an obtuse triangle. I'm going to shrink that down just a tiny bit. What do the triangles below have in common? Oh, I see it. I see what they have in common. Do you? Do you see what they have? Here, let me help you out. Let me circle them for you. Something right there. Something right there. And something right there. What do all three of them have? They all have a right angle. Yep, that's it. They all have a right angle. How are they different? How are they different? They have different length sides. You know, this one's isosceles, this one's scalene, and this one, I'm not so sure, it's equilateral. It might be isosceles also. But the sides are different is the main point. Hold on, I want to type it right here. The sides of the triangles are different. Whew. All right, hopefully we're getting better at this. Don't worry if you're not. I'll give you some time to improve your skills. But for now, that's all the time we have for tonight. I'll see you next time for homework help. All right, have a good evening. Bye.